What's up guys? Welcome back to the channel and I'm so excited about this video. I'm not going to spend too much time breaking things down for new followers or new viewers, but in this video we are going to be talking about the first week of Big Brother season 26. This has been an insane week one. So I'm going to be talking first of all about Angela's HOH, just overall my take on Angela as a player and what I think all combined to lead to the blow up that we saw happen, our nom choices, and overall what ended up being a really successful HOH in my opinion, with, you know, some downsides that I think she's gonna be paying for down the road. Then I wanna talk about my favorite players right now, and I wanna do a little segment of players to watch, of players that aren't getting as much screen time currently, but that I think are gonna make it pretty far down the road. I already have an idea of who I think is gonna make jury, and I feel pretty confident in it, but I wanna see one more week of play and see how this all plays out. So let's get into it. So first and foremost, I do want to say that I haven't been watching live feeds. All of my updates have come from Twitter, and there's a specific hashtag I've been looking at, but I'm not going to say it because right now bots have overtaken it and it's just not something you want to go look at right now. But so I'm getting live feed updates through Twitter, but with that, there's obviously stuff I'm missing. And so if some of these takes you guys are like, wait, what? Please leave a comment and clarify so that I can be more knowledgeable about what's going on. So let's just dive into Angela's HOH. So first of all, let's talk about Angela just as a player, okay? It has become common knowledge amongst Twitter that Angela has some prior experience in reality TV. Namely, she has been on Let's Make a Deal, The Price is Right, The Dr. Phil Show, and now Big Brother. So this is her fourth reality TV show. And with that, I think that there is a certain level of entertainment that Angela wants to give the audience, and I really respect it and I'm excited for it. However, I do think that that drive for like entertainment is definitely fueling a lot of her reactions and behaviors and stuff that she maybe wouldn't normally do. I don't know, we don't know where in real life this could be baseline for her. But from my own perception of seeing like the uncut conversations and the uncut fight, which we are gonna talk about, it almost gave scripted. With that, I think that it's fueling her to make decisions that maybe aren't the smartest for her overall game. And I think that while she did, in my opinion, arguably have a successful HOH, I think that the cost of it is gonna be down the road, and I think she's gonna pay for it later. So with that, I think also Angela as a player, I think that the first week HOH paranoia is something that is so insane, and I think it can either make or break someone. And so I think that the first week HOH paranoia really got to her this week. And I think that we saw that coupled with the entertainment want that she wants to give a good show, coupled with the fact that we also have to consider that Angela is one of the stereotypically casted, you know, older women in the house. She's part of the older group and she's not dumb, and she knows this. And looking at past seasons, we've seen instances where this casting character is at a disadvantage because they aren't included as much. People don't bring them into as many alliances. Steamrolls typically form without this character being included. And so she knows this. And so I feel like those three things combined kind of, you know, started shaping what we saw went down. And I'll talk at length about what I think set the fuse on that. So overall, her original noms were super safe. I think she played it as safe as possible. And I really think that the Lisa move was a good move because the house in consensus is just not feeling Lisa for some reasons that I'll probably talk about in another video. But with that, back to Angela's noms. So first of all, the HOH having to nom 3 people is absolutely insane because odds are Vito gets used as an HOH, you now have blood on your hands for 4 people, which is outrageous. And so for Angela's case, she did, I think, the best that she possibly could. First week, not really having a read on the house yet because literally there's no way to. Things are still shifting and changing. So I think she did really well with her first 3 noms. However, with that, If you were keeping up with the feeds and you saw some of the other conversations already happening, there were some rumblings going on in the house of kind of an undertone. I know Matt was involved. I know Mackenzie was involved. A couple other people, I think Leah was in the conversation as well, about Angela being a threat, about Angela going home in the next few weeks, things of that nature. And with that, Angela already clocked Matt as the stereotypical poster boy for the season. There always is one, and I think that she immediately saw him. She knew that him and Mackenzie were probably going to be the showmance that was shipped this season, and I think that she understood this man was a target. But she didn't feel like it was safe to go after him first week noms, which I agree with. But that is all to say that this undertone of Matt versus Angela was already brewing before the fight that we see, right? There's little comments being said by both Angela and Matt about one another. So this was brewing already, like way early, okay? So then original noms happened, right? And then I think the tipping point kind of came, in my opinion, when Angela vocally called out Matt about being in a showmance and you already know that's what's gonna happen, blah, blah, blah. Basically outing Matt as like gonna be in a showmance eventually. And I think that that kind of was the pushing point for what we end up seeing happen, because then Matt took that, brewed on it, and then they became enemies. I think in that moment, that was already when they were opposed against each other. So then we see the conversation in the HOH room, where actually the intent of it, Matt was coming up there to talk with Angela about that comment. And I think everything was fine up until the end. Like the last 5 minutes of that conversation is where I think Matt messed up, because instead of just letting the conversation end on like a positive note of like, I'm so glad we talked this over, like let's work together going forward, let's be on the same team, Matt took the opportunity to essentially let Angela know, well, you know, I just wasn't sure if I was about to have to go after you. Which, like, why? He was doing so good, conversation was going great. So he did. He took the opportunity for whatever reason to say that, and he acknowledged it. If you guys watched the show on Thursday night, he did acknowledge that and say, like, I don't know why I said that. Then this is what truly, 100% what I believe caused the meltdown she had on the staircase. So the night before it happened, Angela laid in her bed, she stewed, she brewed, she thought about all of the different conversations she had. She thought about this massive alliance that had been literally offered to her on a platter. And I think she went into this big brother paranoia mode of like, everyone's out to get me, which yes, everyone is in this house, but she went into this show of like, I'm not about to be painted out as a victim. I'm not about to be painted out as someone getting one over on me and like working me over on my own HOH. Then there's a little screen in the HOH room where you can see the kitchen and you can see the living room. She stayed up watching the kitchen where everyone was bonding and having a great time, and she saw that happening without her. And instead of going down and inserting herself in the conversation, bonding with them, she let that brew in the back of her mind that all of these people are against me. They're all in on some big master plan that I'm not aware of, and I'm not about to be made to look stupid. So let me get ahead of it. Matt, in her head, was the ringleader. And then she thought Quinn and everyone else that came to her with that alliance, she thought that these people were also in on it and masterminding. So she's like, they're not with me either. Then she proceeded to stay up all night and didn't get her sleep, which in the Big Brother house, sleep is so important. Sleep is so important. She didn't get any. So the next morning she decided she was gonna do something about it, because she was not gonna just sit back and let this whole situation she created in her mind play out. So she was gonna address it. So then we have the whole stair speech. I am of two different groups of mind when it comes to this staircase. And I think it's interesting seeing the Twitter reaction to the staircase and the Facebook reaction to the staircase, because casual viewers on Facebook really are not having a great time with this. Twitter viewers really are living for it. And so that's an interesting little observation I have. But I do have two little groups of thought. The first one is, I think that in terms of setting up her renom, this was probably a really good way to go about it. Like, let the whole house know this man is out to get me. You know what I mean? But I also feel like making such a spectacle of your game and your I guess reactions to the house really didn't do her any favors. And it just gives off like unhinged. That's what it gives to me. And all of that combined is literally very apparent when you're seeing all these people that originally wanted her in this big alliance. They're now like, whoa, actually, I'm not sure if I want this to be a thing that we do now, because I don't really know how to move around you anymore. Because she's outed herself in being very explosive. She's outed herself in being quick to throw people under the bus, especially with the comment about all the people that came up to her room. And I think that she did a good job in setting up her renom, but a terrible job in setting up her game. So she had a good HOH, it was successful. But I also think it was just such a bad idea because I really don't see this playing out well for her the next few weeks. So I don't know. I think that the whole thing was insane to watch. And I think this is just a great testament to why people should sleep more in the Big Brother house. So going forward, I think that Angela is gonna have the hardest time finding an alliance that trusts her 100%. Because it's really hard, I think, to establish that now without the person being scared that you're gonna turn on them, that you're, gonna have another outburst. I think it's gonna be a lot harder for her to establish herself in some kind of alliance than it would have been had she not done this whole blow up. Otherwise, her HOH was a success. So now let's talk about my favorite players and players I think that are the ones to watch. So starting off, let's just start off with the best of both worlds, which is someone who is one of my favorite people to watch on the show, and also someone who I think is going to do really well. I see like at least a top 5 placement for this person is Tucker. I love Tucker. I think that he is the most interesting character. When casts come out, I usually try to piece like who this person is the stereotypical cast of. And I could get it for some of this cast. Tucker, I have no one to compare him to other than Zach Rance. And even then, Tucker's not really a Zach Rance. Tucker really is like a Zach Rance undertone, but also he has so much just charisma and softness to his deliveries that I think Zach kind of didn't have as much when he played. That there's really no one to compare him to. And I think that he has been doing a really good job of building some genuine connections with the house guest. And I think that the best thing about Tucker is that while he is a certified hater of multiple people, none of them know it. So I think he is gonna be one to watch, and he's one of my current favorites. From the ones to watch, I wanted to make it fair, and let's do 2 guys, 2 girls. So Tucker's one of my guys. The other guy that I think is one to watch, and I see placing really high, maybe top 3, top 4. I think he'll place ahead of Tucker unless something crazy happens, is Cam. Cam has been so low to the ground of making sure he's not in any of these crazy conversations, but he's also gaming. And I think that's such a fine line to walk of making sure that you're being low to the ground, you're not being crazy, but you're also involving yourself in these conversations, you're building alliances, you're building trust. So I think Cam is definitely one to watch. For my 2 girls that I think are ones to watch, my top 2 to watch are actually Rubina and Chelsea, and I'll tell you why. So I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but I think Chelsea is an interesting player that has been playing the game solidly but quietly, which is a couple of them are doing this right now. And I think that out of the girls, she is one of the ones that has been really positioning herself with some solid alliances rather than these big monster ones that we all know don't actually make it to the end. But she's making it a point to solidify herself with good groups of people. She's making sure she's in these conversations, important conversations. I think she's gonna be interesting to watch, and I could see her placing in a top 5 for sure. And then Rubina. So Rubina is interesting to me because Originally, Rubina's personality was so loud and out there and crazy that I didn't think it would do her any favors, but I'm seeing her in the game of more of now like a toned down version of that, which she is going through it right now. If you guys are watching the feeds, she's just been going through it, which is so fair. Like, that house is insane. But she's toned down that craziness, and I also think that people are going to severely underestimate her. I think her and Tucker right now are building at least a really strong connection. Whether or not it turns into like a solid alliance, who knows? But I think she's positioning herself well socially and in a way that isn't going to be perceived as a threat compared to some of the other players like Leah, who's positioning herself well socially. Everyone likes her, but it's so open, it's going to be perceived as a threat. Whereas Rubina is positioning herself well socially, but no one will see it as threatening. So I do want to say that my players to watch has changed dramatically over the past like 48 hours, because I originally had Quinn in my top 2, but watching his gameplay, I think that he's gonna play out way earlier than I anticipated, like originally. I think him telling Angela about his power was just a bad move. I get it, he wanted to like establish trust with her. It didn't work. She still thought he was after her. She still thought he was lying to her. So he just outed one of the craziest powers. And so I think he's almost just getting a little sloppy and lackluster with his gameplay. And I've seen that play out in the past few days on the feeds. And so I don't know if he's one of my top players to watch right now, because I'm worried he's gonna overplay his hand. When or if he uses his power, at this point it's gonna get out. It's gonna get out that it was him. It's gonna get out that he has it. That's just how it's gonna go. Okay guys, so with that, I am done talking. I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna edit this video, hopefully get it up Friday. If you're seeing this, just know that I worked really hard to edit this for you guys and get it up on Friday. So please watch it, appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment. Like I said, let me know your thoughts. If you think I'm off base with something, leave a comment so I can educate myself and figure out what's actually going on. So let me know if you think I'm off base on anything that I said in this video. So with that, I do have some exciting news. I am gonna be on some really fun podcasts next week, so keep an eye out for those. I'm not gonna tell you which ones yet, but I'm very excited to go on there and talk to. So keep a lookout for those as well, and I will post more about them as they progress. So don't forget, like, subscribe, all the things. Can't wait to see you guys next week.